good? All right. Well, welcome everyone to our Monday, March the 13th regular board meeting. I call the meeting to order. Mr. Bertram, would you call roll, please?
Certainly. Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Here.
Mrs. Stewart?
Here.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Here.
Dr. Urso?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Any
Second.
Oh, thanks, Verlina. Any questions, comments, concerns,
No.
compliments? If there are none, then Mr. Bertram.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes. Does not appear to have any public participation this evening. That brings us to tonight's consent agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Highlights of the consent agenda. I know there's a lot of contracts under the consent agenda this evening. All of those are renewals. They're all contracts that the district has approved in the past. Of course, maybe some slight dollar adjustments. It's the state of the world these days, but nothing dramatic from my understanding. Is that correct, Mr. Bertram? Am I speaking correctly? Anything within the consent agenda that you need some clarification prior to voting on? You know what these contracts represent? Any concerns about any of those?
Nope.
I'll pause for awkward silence for a couple seconds. We're good?
We're good.
We're good, then Mr. Bertram.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
All right, that's the majority of our pages here. I gotta find where we go, where we are
I
now.
think you're on the second to last page.
All right, under curriculum, we do have one contract which is new, from my understanding. Is there a motion for approval for School Links?
So moved.
Is, question, I'm
Well,
sorry.
Can I
Is,
have a second, please? Then we
Yeah,
can
I'm
open
sorry,
up for
yeah.
dialogue.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. And Ms. Stewart, any questions regarding said contract?
yeah, was School Leaks the program that we're moving from Schoology to School Leaks, or is that,
School Links is replacing Naviance.
I meant, yes,
Right,
Naviance.
yes.
And so my question was, why were we moving from Naviance? I was just curious.
Well, so Naviance, so we looked at School Links. Naviance we've used in the district for the past 4 years. So we went out looking for something that was a little bit more robust than Naviance. School Links has a better platform when it comes to students tracking their own graduation pathways. So you know now when students graduate, it's more than just credits. It's their credits, it's pathways, it's multiple different avenues. Also, School Links offers more of a work-based program, also matching students with internships, different, it tracks their work experience. So School Links is a bit more robust and also guides our students as they're tracking their own success towards graduation.
Okay, thank you.
Just to follow up on that, I know when we approved Naviance, it was kind of explained to us, and I know once you get into a program, you find what works and what doesn't work. What were the weaknesses with Naviance in regards to it just, did our students utilize it in the ways that we thought they would? Are teachers using that platform? Is there any depth that you can provide in regards to history? So as we move into this, we can kind of have an expectation as what to see.
Sure. So Naviance, yes, we did use it. We used Naviance in 6 through 12, and like I said, it was over the past 4 years. We used Naviance to do things from student surveys. There were multiple different levels of student surveys as they were preparing for college and career and next steps into the workforce. We use Naviance for transcripts. We use Naviance for students getting ready to go to college. But what School Links has, and when we also say, you were asking some of the drawbacks, Naviance took a little bit of time to finagle the platform. It wasn't as user-friendly as we were hoping for. So moving to School Links is user-friendly. The platform is a little bit more in-depth and more user-friendly. Also allows us to track more information for our students as they're preparing for the college and career workforce.
Do you know if you can use it with smartphones? Most of our young people use smartphones more than they do computers, you know? Not that you need to know.
That's a good question. I can find that out.
Yeah, not a
Yeah.
deal breaker, but it's
Right,
just
yeah.
curious in terms of What kinds of things can they use it with?
I will say that the cost is very similar.
Is
You know,
it?
it's just off, a few $1,000s. So, but the differential in the cost is definitely going to be well worth it for the extra services that we're going to get from School Links. And what you see on the agenda tonight is a 3-year contract, which is a typical contract that we would enter into with Naviance.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Other questions? Ms. Schreiber,
No.
you sure?
Yeah. I think it's to be expected that sometimes as we use things, and frankly, programs get better all the time too. I mean, we do see the lows and highs and that kind of thing too. So it's good you're always looking.
Well, good. If there are no other questions, then Mr. Bertram, we're ready to vote.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Committee reports. Ms. Hauser, did any committees meet since our last meeting?
We sure did. We had a policy committee meeting a couple weeks ago. Ms. Scheibert, Ms. Mulligan attended the policy committee meeting. I'm sure if one of you ladies want to share out for us this evening.
Okay, well, I'll go first. We are going through all of our policies with the recommended or suggested policies from Ohio School Board Association. And so we look at our policies and see if there are any changes to what we have and if they fit what we need. And truly, we looked at, and you correct me, I've got my stack here, but I know we looked at the College Credit Plus programs. What else? Let's see. Some policies regarding student conduct on school buses, things about certified staff contracts, and instruction, different kinds of instruction. And a new policy on blended learning. That was the only new one we have. And it seemed to me that most of the things that we looked at were, the language was more inclusive. To me, it seemed like it included more things that maybe were kind of hazy in the past. My impression was that perhaps these policies, OSBA took their cues from maybe policies that weren't clearly enough written and kind of clarified so that we can follow them more easily. So we decided on how they will fit into Middletown District. And we are going to do this once a month till we're finished.
That's correct.
That's right. So, yes.
Yep.
Kathy, did you have anything you wanted to add? I know you were trying to zoom in, and it might have been difficult that day.
Well, I think after our meeting, I looked at this latest issue of that publication we get from OSBA, and there was something, I can't remember what they said, it's because of changes in the outside world that we're going to have some policies. There's policies that we haven't had before, and I can't remember what it was.
Well, the one I saw was on blended learning, and that's certainly a new topic in our set of policies.
I'll remember it next time.
Okay?
Show up at our next stack of work.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'd just add to that, since COVID kind of delayed us, having the policy committee slowed things down, we're back 1 year looking at the policies 4 quarters ago in '22, but each month we're going to be catching up on those. It should take us no more than 5 or 6 months to get to current. Same time as current policies are coming up and they're brought to me by other administrators and staff members, we are including those into the stack for the next meeting as well. So if there is something, certainly let me know, something we should look at ahead of time. And the only thing I want to add to that, Mrs. Scheibert, is we're also looking at a policy that will allow our administrator, JD, is who I'm talking about.
Oh, that's right. I
To
forgot
be
that
able
one.
to
Yeah,
receive some form of payment when
Right.
he manages the state athletic events. The way the policy is written now, anything to do with our district, if we're in a tournament, he can't take pay for that, but all our game workers, everyone else does get paid. And it's kind of ambiguous how the policy's written now. We just want to clearly state that if he is handling a state tournament, none of our teams are involved in that game or tournament, then why shouldn't he get paid as well? And it's no district money that's paying him. It's all from state funds that come in to run the tournament. So we thought that was only fair and reasonable.
Thank you. And I think that that's the aim of this, redoing these policies is making sure that things are clear.
Yes.
That when we go to them, that we have something kind of definite there. There's no hazy area. So thank you, Randy. I forgot that one.
No problem. And next step then is, we just had that before I went on vacation last week. I'll get those back to OSBA. OSB will clean them up. Once they clean them up, they'll come to the board for first read and then an approval after that. So we'll start seeing these things show up pretty regularly once the ball's rolling here.
The Community Center Committee did meet, and we do meet again, I believe, this Thursday also. At our last meeting, and to back up just slightly, we've met with different community partners, trying to figure out the gap funding for the gymnasium, and then also a space. If you drive by the community center and if you're facing it, there's a building right to the right. Is that typically the Parent Resource Center? Is that what it's been used for most recently?
It was the Parent Resource Center, and we now use it for the Butler County, the Head Start classroom.
And so that space right there, which is a critical amount of square footage for the community center, the building itself, per the architects, is out of date. It's going to be a maintenance issue moving forward. And one solution would be just to tear it down, which I think would cause problems just in terms of programming and space for said programming. And so we're looking into, and we've reached out to community partners, the Middletown Community Foundation, to create a literacy center, a play-based center for our young preschoolers within that. And so we're working on problem solving that piece to make sure that we have the funding for that. And so it can support all the young people that we're excited to be walking through there. Last week also, we met with FC Cincinnati, which is exciting. Across the street at Douglas Park, there's a tennis court that's positioned at the far corner, right across the street from the community center. And I'm crossing my fingers. It seemed probable, hopeful. Don't want to say it's going to happen until everything's in. They have bulldozers there and everything to make it happen. But there seems to be strong support to have a mini pitch. I'm talking European language pitch, I guess, as a soccer field, which will be enclosed in netting and have turf. And they've built a few of these throughout the Cincinnati area, which have had just really large success. Young folks love it. Teams like it. And across the street will be our preschool, and those young folks would be able to utilize it. It will have FC Cincinnati branding. And it just seems like that space, when they were out there, it's a company that's helped with our turf for our football field and baseball fields, et cetera. Mott's. And they were just thrilled because that pad that sits out there is perfect. And usually you walk out there and they're finding all kinds of things that are going to cost more money. This was a situation, I don't know if this is wood or not, that was optimal. The square footage was perfect for what they're looking for, and it was just a really positive conversation. It was really nice for FC Cincinnati. They had a good win this week, from what I understand, to come out and support Middletown. The next few weeks will be critical for that project. We're bumping up against some deadlines in terms of funding, making sure that we can get bulldozers and all those things working out there to start building the building. We're going to have to go out to bid sooner than later, and we're still trying to track down that last bit of funding. We have what we think are some strong prospects and good leads, and had some good conversations so far. It's just getting affirmatives, and so that'll be our next steps, is making sure we secure those affirmatives, and so we fully can capture the opportunity and do the things that I think a community like ours needs. And so really excited about the directions it's moving. You always want it to move faster. But I do have here, and board members, you're more than welcome to look at, there's the most recent renderings from our last meeting, and you can see the building that I'm talking about, the space. One iteration has it just being covered up, kind of making it look pretty from the outside, which not really solving the interior issues. And then you can see some renderings on a total remodel, replace of it. And so I'll keep these here. Sorry, they're a little wrinkled. They're in my car, but they're here for you to kind of look through. I know Ms. Hauser, Mr. Bertram, if you want to add, and Ms. Stewart, you're welcome to add to that, as you're each critical parts of that committee too.
I'll add that we did meet with Kyle Schwarber's father, Greg Schwarber, talking about the tentative baseball area and/or fields that could also be on the facility for the community center. At this time, Kyle feels very strongly about having a much bigger complex, maybe as many as 12 fields in the future. And he just feels, because of the way Middletown is, he remembers Smith Park when there was 12 baseball fields there. I was never there during the baseball fields. But he just felt that it was always great on a Saturday. Parents could come if they had 2, 3, 4 kids all playing. They're all in the same area, didn't have to worry about taking them from point A to point B to point C to get them to all different ball diamonds throughout the city. So they're actually working with Lamar Farrell out at Baraka to use some of that land, former school district land that Baraka now owns, to maybe build as many as 8 fields. And they also asked us as a school district if we would work with them with the 4 fields that we have there as well to complete that complex. Right now, they're looking at up to 6th grade for baseball. Of course, our fields are for middle school and high school kids, the size of fields that they are. So maybe down the road, they would need our ball fields to help them if they grow and develop more programs beyond 6th grade. But, you know, in the end, they like the idea of adding some fields out at the community center, practice fields if nothing else. They just think on game day they'd want everything out in the same location. So as I wouldn't say disappointed, as much hope as we had that they would consider putting something out at the community center, we certainly understand why they want to do what they want to do. And talking with Greg Schwarber, understanding what Kyle wants, Kyle's going to put 110% into what he does, and we're very excited that what they decide to do out there will be very successful for the community, and we don't see a problem with that. It kind of makes our job a little easier, not worrying about the back half of that lot behind the community center at this point. Maybe down the road, we can look at some practice fields, what have you, on that complex. We still have a lot of area to put a grass soccer field out there too, so.
Yep.
It'll be a win-win situation with what they're planning and what we're planning, so.
Because they didn't rule it out, right?
No.
There were still options.
Yeah,
I was-
down the road.
Right, down the road. But I would say, you know, you hit the nail on the head, and so did you. But what I will say is we're getting close. It's getting really exciting. We're coming to the end, right? Getting ready to go to bid, so we're getting really close. Yeah.
And I will say, I was a little worried after we had that meeting, and I was on vacation last week. I follow Kyle and his baseball with the Phillies now, and I'm not seeing him in the lineup. I'm not seeing him in the lineup. And then when I got home Saturday night, I'm flipping through the channels at 10 o'clock, and I saw Team USA. And it's international baseball going on right now. He's playing for Team USA and not with the Phillies at spring training. And he had a 2-run blast that day as well. So he's doing very
He's
well
doing
with
really
what he's
well.
doing. That's exciting, knowing that he's playing for Team USA.
Batting third.
Yeah,
And so-
yeah.
Any other committees? Anything else within that? We're good?
Nope, that was it.
Then if I'm correct, then we're to Board of Education reports and activity. And Mr. Moore, if there's anything to report this evening.
No comments this evening.
Ms. Schreiber, anything to?
No, I have nothing to report. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Stewart.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Snow day, March 17th.
St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to mention Isaiah Day. There was an article in our journal on him and volunteering, and I don't know him well, but I bumped into him a few times at Kroger's, and just a really nice young man, and everyone who I meet who knows him just speaks so highly of him. And I also noticed, I mean, he was on Twitter a few times recently, that he'll be going to Taylor University to play basketball. of which is exciting for him. So to raise up Isaiah Day and congratulate him on first, I mean, just being a great young man and an awesome midi and helping out young folks at Creekview, but then also his exciting future playing basketball at Taylor University. We had a couple other seniors that made college decisions. Tanner Back, who I do know that family, really good people. Tanner's going to go to Tryon University and play soccer. And Darren A. Aldridge from our women's basketball team will be going to Hocking College. And so congratulations to, and I know I probably forget some young people too. I try to keep up on Twitter on what they're doing, and so it's not intentional, but it is neat to, when you see their faces and their families taking their picture, that we do recognize that and we do congratulate them. Want to also congratulate Jacob Castillo. He was a wrestler, a senior. He's second all-time in wrestling wins for Middletown. He just finished up his career at the state meet, and I mean, second all-time. That's a lot of years, and to be second is a great accomplishment. And Talon Malico competed in Columbus and did a really nice job as a sophomore at the state indoor track event. On a different note, there was an article about Fred Finney in the Middletown Journal, a longtime Middletown school board member and just community supporter. He passed away. I got to know him in high school, and again, not exceedingly well, but well enough to know what kind of person he was, and just a quality person. Everyone you meet, he just kind of raised you up a little bit. And so condolences to his family. And then Marilyn Housefield, who was a teacher at Mayfield for many years, also passed away. And so condolences to her family.
Okay.
Mr. Bertram, anything to, and just lastly, to congratulate Ms. Hauser, her first, we're almost to the end.
Yeah.
Congratulate her on her first official
That's one
school
under my
board
belt.
meeting as our superintendent.
I just want to say that House Bill 1, it's a bill out there to lower our state income tax. Our politicians are working hard to get our rate. I think we're currently at low threes, and they want to knock it down to 2.9, a flat rate or something. That's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is how they're going to pay for it. Currently, under House Bill 920, which has existed since 1976, I believe, it's definitely mid-70s, where when we evaluate our properties, we evaluate them at a rate of 35%. So if you have a $100,000 home, for tax purposes, it's valued at $35,000. They want to lower that down to 31.5%. And then they want to take the proceeds of that difference and fund the tax hole that would create. And haven't got into all the details for it yet. And since I was on vacation last week, they actually had a webinar that I had Mandy, who's my intern, and she's also our one of our payroll employees, sit in for me, and she sent me all the data. I'm going to plug it in, and I'm going to bring you the details of what that will mean for Middletown City Schools. I will say, since only about half of our revenue is generated from real estate taxes, it will affect us, but it's not going to be as damaging to us as it is to other districts where they rely on 80–90% of their revenue coming from local taxes. But we do have $860 million in valuations to see how that all plays out. I don't think it affects any commercial or an industry, but 600,000 is residential for us, so it will have an effect, and I'll let you know how that plays out in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
So I'd like to just give a big shout out to all our Midi families right now that are on spring break and say Mother Nature did not get the memo that it's spring break time, but we hope you're at home or on vacation, maybe someplace tropical, having a great time. All the hard work that you put in every day for our students, and our students, all the hard work they put in every day. But we miss you while you're gone. So we do have a hashtag going on right now. It's called Midi Spring Break. We'd love to see you on Twitter and what you're doing during spring break, and we can't wait to see you when you come back next Monday. So.
Good. If there's nothing else, is there a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
We're adjourned.
24 minutes.